Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host Mark Ronish of Statewide News Service, jbiztechphilly.com. As you can see here, now columnist for the Jewish Press.
Right, Rabbi, and I'm having a lot of fun with all three assignments, and my column in the Jewish Press is called Albany Beat, and I talk about how government relates to the Jewish community, or doesn't, as the case may be. But someone who does relate well with the Jewish community is our guest today. It's Paul Burgdorf. He's a Albany County Legislator from Colonie, Latham-Loudonville area. And welcome to the Jewish View. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Rabbi, for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
You know, we've known each other for over 20 years. So
yes, as I get older, I say that to more and more people.
That's right. Well, consider the alternative. It's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
So, you know, you're newly elected to the county legislature. Are you living the dream? Is this really what you thought it would be?
Well, this is really, I tell people, I had the privilege of having a 36-year career in state government.
Yes, dormitory.
Well, the Senate for 19 years as the chief of staff, and then in the administration, and then at the dormitory authority.
Who were you chief of staff for?
Senator John Dunn, who was the deputy majority leader.
He's now at White
Manhattan, and he was the deputy attorney general of the United States under Dick Thornburg and the first George Bush.
Right.
So I was trained by one of the best, and a man of great character and distinction.
Yes.
And so I spent 19 years in the Senate, and while I was in the Senate, I got involved in electoral politics. Probably my earliest foray was in 1983. I ran against Jim Coyne for county executive at the ripe old age of 25.
And you took that as your first shot?
That was the only election I've ever lost. So that was a learning experience, as we all must have. But then I went to the Colonie Town Board, where I served 4 terms, 16 years. And I also served as the deputy supervisor at the end before I stepped down under Mary Brazell. I stepped down in 2002. And I was with the dormitory authority for many of those years, and then I, was senior director of the dormitory authority until I retired in 2010.
And you were smart enough never to hire me for John Dunn's office or the dormitory authority.
Well,
so anyway,
we had a lot of good people pass through our portals.
But you also got a political science degree, business law. From SUNY Albany, University of Albany.
Yes, I did.
You went there the 4 years before I started.
I started in 74, graduated in 78, met my bride there, we got married, Jane, and the rest sort of is history.
Did you ever get involved with WSUA on the campus
radio
station?
No. I was actually my big affiliation on the campus was I was one of the only student chefs on campus. I had worked a number of summers as actually a chef in an Italian restaurant in the Adirondacks, and I had an opportunity to meet the chef who ran one of the quads, Colonial Quad, and he and I kind of connected, and I spent my 4 years as the only student chef on campus.
And now you're still cooking.
And now I'm still cooking.
Okay. Yeah. So has this been the dream?
Actually, it has been, because I have had an experience in both legislative and the executive side of municipal government, from being a town board member.
In terms of the way the county legislature operates, you're one of 10 Republicans. And by the way, congratulations on being named deputy Republican leader.
Thank you.
I don't want to say minority leader, but
that's okay. That's where we are. We're the minority.
But I wanted to, say that you had, the way this county legislature is set up and the way the dynamics are, is this really what you thought it would be internally? I mean, that you ran for office and now you have your bills, you have your thoughts, you have your wants.
Yes. And one of the things I've found is, I don't know if this is a new environment in the county legislature, but there is more collegiality and bipartisanship than there has been in the past.
Give me an example.
Well, some of it still has a little tension. But the fact that we have a reapportionment bill out there, independent redistricting, And the fact that we have 19 sponsors,
Yeah.
13 Democrats, 6 Republicans, and 1 conservative,
Right.
who can put their names on one piece of legislation.
Yeah.
We're 1 vote short. We're
Right.
working on
Yeah,
that.
as I say, yeah.
But the fact that there are 19
Right.
folks that are interested in doing some real reform in Albany County, that's somewhat
But
revolutionary.
why couldn't the extra 1 or 2 votes come from the Republican side?
Well,
You're the deputy
we would,
leader now.
we would hope that maybe ultimately that would happen. But dynamics being what they are, it's not that way
You gotta
today.
do this a little bit, you know,
Well, you
twisting
gotta be-
arm
Just for the civics, for our listeners and viewers, that the 39, I mean, it hasn't been
39
said,
county
39 county
legislators.
legislators, so obviously 20.
Right.
Simple math is a majority, that's what you were
And the-
referring to.
And
so
the
just to
makeup
fill it in.
is,
29 Dems. and
there were actually
well,
2 conservatives.
There are 2 conservatives, but they
2
caucus with the
conservatives,
Republicans.
one caucuses with the Dems.
Who's that?
Chris Smith from the Hilltowns. He is he owns the Maple Inn. Chris is a great young man who's built a phenomenal business out in the Hilltowns. He's a conservative who caucuses with the
Who did he
Democrats.
defeat? Because he's a freshman also. That wasn't Deborah Bush's seat, was it?
I'm not
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It may be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she was the arch conservative.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I was just wondering. They had a lot of change in the Hilltowns in the past couple of elections, you know, and that's unusual because they've been, you know, people who get elected in the Hilltowns can stay for pretty much as long as they want. You know?
It's an
It's an incumbency
very
protection program.
it's a very unique group of folks up
Yeah.
there who have a real cohesiveness of interest.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've seen it in some of the statewide elections where, you know, communities that were formerly very strong Democratic lean went for Senator Amador because of some of the positions that he had taken that were beneficial
Well,
to the
they had
Hilltowns.
the Democratic county sheriff endorsing him also.
Well, even before that, 2 years ago, George is a Second Amendment guy.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Right,
Second
that's-
Amendment rights in the Hilltowns, every other house had a yellow Sportsman for Amador sign in front of it. And regardless of party affiliation, there's nothing more valuable to an elected official than crossover voters and people who really feel a kinship with you and vote for you regardless of party.
So that's what the Republicans need to do in the Hilltowns in order to get more Republicans elected. Because the Republicans, you'd think, would be the Second Amendment, pro-Second Amendment people.
And they are.
Naturally.
And they are.
But, you know, the candidates have never been Republican out in the Hilltowns, no matter how much we've tried.
Yeah.
But what's the big issue? What committees are you on in the county legislature?
I am on the Public Works Committee, and that's very important for me because traffic and development in Colonie are probably the most important issues that my communities face. I have
Loudonville and Latham.
Central, Latham, and Loudonville, bordered by Shaker Road, Maxwell Road, Old Niskayuna Road, Route 9, 155,
Osborne
and
Road.
Osborne. That's really the square of people that I have. And then I have, my district is a poster child for a gerrymandered district because they took my district down the yellow line on Wolf Road and then built into election districts in the village of Colonie. That was for my predecessor who has
Who was that?
Rich Jacobson, who passed away.
Oh.
He lived in an apartment complex in the village of Colonie, and the district is odd in shape, primarily for
Because
him
of
as a
that,
beneficiary.
yeah. Well, he
and
was the chair of the Colony
Democratic
Committee.
and lo and
so-
behold, he ran unopposed
Until you
until I ran.
came along, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Now so you ran against him?
Well, no,
No.
we interviewed together for various things, and then he decided not to run.
Uh-huh.
And he sort of made a very, very late decision, and then they ran a Democratic district leader against me,
And who was that?
Ben Seiden.
Oh, I saw his signs up, yeah.
Yeah. We had a sign war in Colonie.
Yeah.
It was.
And was he Jewish?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Syden, he
Yeah,
spelled it, but
yeah.
I wasn't sure. I thought he was. But are you, so you defeated him decisively because
Yes,
he was not well known. He was a.
Well, I had an advantage. First of all, I'd run 5 times in Colonie.
Right, oh yeah, you're a well-known name out there, yeah.
And if I had to draw my own district, I would take the area where my 3 children went to school, around Southgate School,
Yeah.
and the area where we knew everyone involved in youth sports, and we were involved with Colonie Senior Citizens, and my wife is very much involved with Mohawk Hudson Humane Society. So it's really, I had been used to campaigning townwide,
Yeah.
which is 24,000 homes and 80,000 people.
So no matter
And you
where the
get
district was
you
drawn,
get a
it was-
smattering of people, but when you go out door to door in your own neighborhood, 2,800 people, you realize you know somebody in every 3rd house if you've been there for 34 years. So it was, I had
And
a
you feel the
tremendous amount of
love.
fun.
Paul, you feel the love,
Well,
don't you?
I felt the love, and I lost 60 pounds going door to door. 58 of which I put back on.
Oh,
But
I was going to say, you got to, that's a reason to campaign every 2 years, not 4.
well, I promised people I'd go door to door every year. So I'm
Okay.
gonna keep that up.
It's kind of like Schumer going every county every year, so you go door to door every year. Okay. As Bob Prentice would say, get a good pair of shoes and several of them.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It's a shoe leather campaign all the
Yeah.
time, yeah. So what's new about campaigning in today's world than it was, let's say, in your first few elections? Because computerization and emails, social media, yeah.
Social media.
Well, your Facebook page is woefully
Excuse me?
lacking. Your Facebook page is woefully lacking.
I know, and
You don't even have the about page is nothing really about you, so I'm here to help.
Yeah, I realize that. I was a late convert to Facebook.
Okay.
And I was afraid that if I got into Facebook, I'd be on the computer 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that I'm spending more and more time, which is difficult. And I also had spoken to the folks at the Times Union. I had the opportunity to write a blog.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing a blog for the Times Union on Albany County, Colonie, and broader issues.
Well, one of your fellow county legislator members, Sam Fine, during the public comment session, he posts on Facebook, I'm at the county legislature meeting, takes a picture of it and sends it out, and while he's supposed to be listening to public comment, but he's dealing with Facebook to tell his people where he's at.
We had a piece of legislation. Mark Grimm is extremely active in social media and communications. It's his business.
That's right.
He's a speech and communications coach.
Yep.
And he had a bill earlier this year asking the clerk to assign every legislative session and each legislative bill a hashtag name.
Yeah.
So that people could comment and we could have real-time feedback on issues electronically. And I think
19 people supported it, but you didn't get it. You get my drift.
yeah, we're but progress is incremental. If anybody would have told me that I'd be spending time on Facebook 2 years ago, I'd have told them that probably would not have been the case. So we all get there eventually.
Well, I will tell you a famous story that you will appreciate, because everyone every so often on this program, I do confess that I was 2.5 years the executive director of the Albany County Republican Committee, and under 3 chairmen, George Scaringe, Fred Field, and Peter Colonie. But when I first started there, they were still using DOS computers where you had to actually go in and do the coding yourself. And I brought in Windows into the county committee, and you saw how the attendance went up at all our events. Mm-hmm. And George was like, "Where are you getting all these people from?" Like, I never was able to. You know, are they all paying? You know, and I said, yeah, we got the money in. So he would, so we were doing well, but you know, Lauren Ayres ran for Congress, and she against Mike McNulty, and she would send me emails, and she'd send me attachments with position papers. So she'd come in yelling at me like, "Why aren't you answering my emails?" And I said, "Well, how do I know that I got your email? Is there a bell that goes off? Is there some way that someone could tell me that I got your email? You just have to check." I said, "But I'm busy doing all these other things. How do I know that call me, tell me I should check my email, do something." It's just, it was so funny. It was so sad. It was funny. And, you know, now I'm so hooked with my phone, and I have, 7 email addresses, and I segment my life that way, and I have that it's just hilarious how much we have
how we've acclimated to electronic society.
But that really helped, at least with fundraising and with getting people attuned to what the county committee was doing. That was something that computers really helped with.
Talking about Albany County, the budget is doing well. That's what they say. What's your take on it?
We passed the budget last night. The county executive sent us a zero tax increase budget. It's the 4th year in a row where there was a zero tax increase budget. The fund balance is now approaching $58 million. We have a $670 million budget, plus or minus a few million. And the state controller recommends that you have up to 10% available as a fund balance for a rainy day. So the fund balance has gone from 17 up to $58 million. So we're probably able to withstand some sort of a downturn. Or
where do you think the money's coming from?
Well, nursing home for one, right?
Well,
saving, not costing the nursing home.
Well, the nursing home used to bleed about $12 million a year, and it's now down to $4.5 million.
Right.
And Larry Slatke, the nursing home administrator, is doing a tremendous job.
That's $8 million there.
He has brought in really private sector efficiencies and management. We're now able to properly code all our expenditures and get properly reimbursed. They've kind of reconfigured staffing and work rules to maintain tremendous services, but to do it within, sort of best practices. So you've got that. We still have a subtly rising sales tax. I come from a community where we have Latham Farms and Colonie Center and Wolf Road and Corporate Woods.
Route 9, just
Route
in general,
9.
yeah.
But I mean, in Colonie, we have the benefit of having both a strong residential tax base and an even stronger commercial tax base. So, homeowners really are not bearing the full brunt of the real property tax. But the other thing that happens, and most people don't realize it, is that even if you don't increase the tax levy, there is growth in the real property tax base that's usually between 1.5% and 2% per year. That's from additions to the commercial community, new residential units going on, so the tax base is growing. So you can withstand probably the first 1.5% to 2% growth in expenditures without having a tax increase.
Interesting, yeah.
So that's, that's the importance of economic development and having a vibrant community.
And and he also created the county recreation department,
Yes.
which was relatively first budget that was in.
Yes.
So that was so he's expanding programs at the same time. Now we all hear that on the county level, Medicaid is the biggest cost.
It is the biggest driver. I sit on the Social Services Committee, and there is not a meeting that goes by where we don't authorize 15 or 20 different social service providers. We have a very strong safety net in Albany County. There are tremendous state mandates and in some instances, the county has gone above the state mandate for certain programs, but most of the money passes through from the state and the federal government. But it's a huge driver of the county budget.
So has the county commitment to social services, because you say the state and federal money passes through, has the county money's gone up or down?
I think we're still in a growth, slight growth pattern. The expenditures with social services. We met with Mike Connors last night, our caucus. Mike has asked to add a position in his office to do an efficiency study for the social service programs, to see if there isn't some mechanism where we can really more wisely spend our social services budget holistically, and take a look at outcomes. Because really, if you're spending the same 10 million every year on a particular program and nobody's coming out of poverty and people are continuing to rely on it, you've really got to try to help people other than those who are really the long-term social service needs folks to come out of it.
And yet, it was only up until November that you approved a social services commissioner for the county. And how many months were we not with a
Well,
commissioner?
we had the acting commissioner who was a deputy, and she assumed Commissioner McClave assumed the responsibilities of commissioner.
Right, so it wasn't
there was a
leaderless,
stability.
but
No,
it was...
no, not by any imagination.
So, but the perception was that, there was no name on the door, so to speak.
Well, that's up to the county executive. I'm sure he has his
But you weren't
selection
worried.
and vetting process.
As a member of the Social Services Committee, have you ever gone into the Social Services Department and sat in those chairs and filled out the forms and seen the process from your own?
I haven't filled out the forms, but I did take a tour. I've been to almost every county department that there is, and I will tell you that in social services, they have tried to institute efficiencies. Clients need to submit information. They need to photostat it, scan it, send it to their case manager.
That's an old word, photostat. That's an old word.
But all of a sudden now, they have kiosks in the social service department, where instead of coming in and using a staff member's time to do the mundane and clerical tasks, it's almost like the self-service checkout at Price Chopper, where you kind of serve yourself and get it to the point where you pay.
Where it's an easy checkout.
Yes.
But I would just encourage you and everyone on the Social Services Committee to go through the process as a client and to see what it takes to apply for food stamps, to apply for home aid, to apply for all the services that someone might be entitled to, and see how either easy or difficult it is. Because otherwise, what do you you don't know what you're legislating. I mean, that's one of the things that I would, instead of a tour, which is somewhat sanitized, I would say that you should, that's my recommendation.
I appreciate that.
With anything, with any department,
One of the reasons I asked to be on the Social Services Committee is because all senior citizens legislation and the Department of Aging legislation passes through there. What I never realized until I went door to door in a smaller district was the amount of homebound seniors that we have in Colonie. People in their late 80s and their 90s trying to maintain their homes. Folks who don't have any way to get to the grocery store to go shopping. People who need someone to put their garbage pail at the end of the driveway, or have their niece come up from Ravina once a week to take them grocery shopping. And there are a tremendous amount of seniors. I think my district is over 35% seniors.
Really? You would think so?
And how old are you?
I just turned 60. So,
Okay, well, congratulations,
yeah,
Mazel
but-
Tov, that's good, okay.
But
Getting there.
I'm talking real seniors.
80s, 90s?
Yeah, yeah. People who really need help. And so I,
Not fake seniors
yeah,
like Paul.
yeah, that's right. I don't consider myself a
I'm
senior.
fixing it too, I'm
Yeah.
29 years old.
There you
but all
go.
right.
They
Well-
started sending me the cards when I was 40. I'm not quite sure about
Well, we
that.
still say, may you live to be 120, and you're halfway there, so.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
But there are all sorts of programs for homebound seniors,
Yes,
whether it's meals programs or help winterizing their homes, or even there are programs where they will help seniors actually do small repairs around the house. The whole idea, much like nursing homes have become, were discouraged so that there was home health care, was it's much easier to keep a senior in their home and in their comfortable surroundings as opposed to congregate care or whatever, and you take those as last steps. So one of my challenges is try to get the information on all the senior programs out to a very large community in my district.
Okay, well, good luck with that one. But the Soldier On program that's over at the Anley Home, that
Yep.
the county executives, you're a big fan of that? or-
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Talk
I
talk
mean,
about that a little.
Well, my roots with the military is every time I speak to a military group, I've got a set of dog tags that were mine,
Uh-huh.
and they were issued to me over 50 years ago when I lived on Air Force bases in Europe. My dad was a pilot in the Air Force.
I was just doing the math, 60 and now 50 years ago. and I was like,
He spent 27 years, joined the Army Air Force in
Yeah.
1939, and got out in 1964. But I have come to really cherish the contribution of veterans. My military service was a military brat on Air Force bases, and but I have family
explains it.
and my dad
Yeah.
who dedicated their entire lives to military service. So I think whatever we have to do to help our returning veterans or veterans who need of assistance.
Yeah.
They've done some tremendous things over in Massachusetts with Soldier
Right,
On,
right.
and I'm hoping that we can.
So what's the timeline of when this is going to be up and running and open ribbon cutting, blah, blah, blah?
Well, I mean, they're still at the stage where they have to negotiate the specifics of the lease. I was at the planning board meeting of the Colonie Town Board, Town Planning Board, when they gave them concept approval. So now it's in the design phase. I mean, it's going to take a few years to get it to the point where it's operational, but it's well on its way.
Boy, does it feel like it's taking forever and taking a really long time?
Well,
Or is no one's sense of urgency greater than our own?
Well, you know, there are all sorts of sensitivities in land use development, and then you have the sensitivities of developing the program properly for a constituency that you really want to provide a high level of service for. So it's being done with private money for the most part. Soldier On, while they may get some grants and stuff, the lease from Albany County is, you know, our in-kind gift, if you will, but they've got to put some pieces together in order to get it up and do the construction, et cetera.
And what's the price tag for this, do you think? Because it's private money, we don't really know, but.
Well, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it was in the $50 million range.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's 200 census.
Yeah. Give us the 30-second thumbnail. This is for homeless veterans?
It's for
Indigent?
homeless and indigent veterans. It's for sick veterans, and when I say sick, I don't necessarily mean
Physically
you know,
or
physically.
mentally?
People who need assistance. It's help with job training, life skills, help in terms of dealing with the challenges of everyday life. Sheriff Apple has really pitched in with the veteran community. He's even taken folks from the jail and done job training and hooked them up with local corporations to get folks a skill. So I think we're hoping that there'll be some private cooperation as well to get veterans back into the productive workforce.
Wow, that's terrific. So, yeah, keep up the good work.
Paul, you're doing great work, and for all the people of Albany County, and you be successful and do it with good health.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Continued success, Paul.
All righty.